Hello, it's Philip Taylor speaking from Richmond Green Chambers, and I'm looking this morning at a book we reviewed before. It's the TOLLEY'S Orange Tax Handbook. It's these two volumes here for 2012 to 13. It's been edited by the consultant editor Roderick, Cordara, Queen's Counsel, and it obviously comes, as I've indicated, from TOLLEY'S, LEXISNEXIS, the BUTTERWORTHS organisation, and it's written in cooperation with the Chartered Institute of Taxation. It is a very important fundamental text. Now, can I just point out that whilst the review has quite a lot of detail on it, if you want to find this book, the best way is to have the ISBN set number, because I've had a lot of problems finding it on the web and various other places. Just a little tip, and you'll find the number inside in the inside cover. We'll look at the two books in a minute. We've given it a title incorporating the latest developments in tax law, including relevant provisions of the Finance Act 2012. That's really why it's so important this year, because it's covering that piece of legislation. Now, these books, the Orange books, were published first in 1976 and normally published annually, and have become indispensable, we think, for practitioners because of the detail they contain, which is at one hand very quickly. Whether you're a barrister, solicitor, accountant or company secretary, or in any way professionally involved as an advisor of some sort in the taxation process, you will need the latest edition of this familiar, authoritative and ever reliable two-volume work of reference, especially as the new edition contains a significant amount of new material. The politicians haven't left us alone for one moment. There's an awful lot that we need to know about. Also note that it's endorsed, as I say, by the Chartered Institute of Taxation. This edition incorporates all relevant provisions of the current Finance Act, which was passed on the 17th of July 2012. It's reproduced in full, and it therefore contains texts as they applied at July 2012, with coverage of VAT, stamp taxes, insurance premium tax, landfill tax, aggregates levy and climate change levy. The text of the legislation is set out as it applies for the current tax year. Any amendments stated to come into effect on a specified date after the end of that year are not included. For other key areas of taxation, including income tax, national insurance contributions and so forth, you'll need to refer to the companion volume, the Yellow Tax Handbook. Bearing in mind that this is a massive and meticulously detailed work, it is nonetheless relatively easy for the practitioner to look things up. Let's just take part one. That's the VAT, the back of it. So you've got some nice shading there to find things. You do have a very detailed index. The pages are quite flimsy, so be careful, but a very detailed index. And what you have got at the front, you see the basics of the book here. That's the real nitty-gritty with all of the details. Those are basically the Finance Act itself, one of the earlier acts. What you do have is something which you should read, and that is the publisher's note, which is on the front. And it sets out how the book is organised. Then you've got the organisation itself. And part two is also very similar. It's obviously covering other aspects of tax. There's the back as well. Again, you've got the shading areas there, and you've got, again, an important publisher's note to read. And what you do have in this edition is various other publications which they produce, and that is also the tax guide itself, which is very important to know about. I'd like to thank all the people involved in this publication. It is a very important one. You'll see it around, but it is something that is very, very well worthwhile. The publication date is cited at July 2012, and you should know that expert commentary, as I've said, is also linked with this tax handbook and the tax guide itself, which is available from the Moore Stephens organisation. Thank you to all concerned. Bye-bye.